3-team content would solve Honkai Star Rail's power creep problem. Kind of. Like, it would only solve some of the main issues, but that doesn't sound cool enough to make you keep watching, so 3-team content would solve Honkai Star Rail's power creep problem. If you haven't been around the HSR community lately, I would be very jealous of you because it's a goddamn mess right now. If you have any opinion on any side of the power creep thing, you're gonna get boot hill ulted. Now let me start off by saying, yes, HSR does have a power creep problem. Are the older units weaker than the newer units? Yeah. Do the same bosses come back with hundreds of thousands more HP? Yeah. There will never be a world where Blade clears the MOC in patch 6.5. You know, it's just not gonna happen. The real issue with HSR's HP inflation is not that it exists, it's that it's happening way too quickly. For example, Svarog, how the fuck you say that motherfucker's name? Claire's robot was on MOC floor 12 2 times in a row. In patch 2.6, he had 1.6 million HP. Okay, you know, that's not bad, you know? Well, in patch 2.7, he had 2.3 million HP. It was an increase of 670,000 health. That's like 50 blade ults and like 2 face out ults. Power creep is happening in a way where you no longer have a place to use your old favorite units. If you're pulling the newer units, you'll eventually find a unit that completely replaces your older unit because they pretty much fulfill the same role. If you have both Jingliu and Herta, you will never find a place to use Jingliu ever again. There are only 2 sides to the endgame modes, and usually they don't put the same elements on both sides. Why can't I pull for hot DOT woman and use them to clear the endgame? Well, the premium dot team can clear the endgame, but it's just like on a sort of rotation. The DOT team does really well when Svarog is on one side, but he's not always on one side. This is an example of a fight where the DOT team does pretty well because Kafka and Black Swan can make use of the lightning and wind weakness. The dot team being playable is on a rotation. But what if that rotation had chances to appear more often? A big reason why people don't like power creep is because there's not a reason to use Kafka. There's not a reason to use Blade. There's no reason to invest your pulls into Blade when your Fei Xiao will just excel more than him in every single fight. There's not enough reason to use your older and weaker units. You just aren't given the environment to use your old units enough. And the HP inflation happening so quickly makes it so pulling the new units feels so much better than pulling on like reruns. The expiration date of the newer units is just so much further than the older units. And this is where the billion-dollar company's goals and our goals don't seem to mix. We want our old favorite units to stay playable, and they feel the need to increase the HP inflation to make us want to pull new units. But the HP inflation doesn't have to be this fast, and this is where 3-team content would solve this issue. The addition of 3-team content would allow the environment to support more archetypes at the same time. This would greatly reduce the feeling of older units not being viable for the current rotation. The core issue is the HSR team inflates the HP way too quickly. Obviously, they do this to increase the incentive of pulling Eidolons and pulling on new units. Now, this cannot be changed. That cannot be changed. They will always inflate the HP because they want to make money. But adding an endgame mode that requires 3 teams will allow them to slow down the HP inflation, since the incentive to pull new units is already built in with this system. It'd basically be like shifting the pulling meta from vertically investing to horizontally investing. Because right now, the correct thing to do is to double down on the archetype you choose. Your E2 S1 Acheron with Xiao Cho, your Fei Xiao with E1 Robin, your E1 Firefly with your E1 Ron Mei. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but most people enjoy horizontally investing because it's just more fun to have more characters. In the current state of the game, you're incentivized to vertically invest because the HP just keeps rising way too fast. Even an E0 S1 Acheron without Xiao Cho is falling off right now. In a perfect world, HP inflation would just stop altogether, right? You know, like if next day MiHoYo said, guys, we are GoFundMe, we are a Make-A-Wish Foundation, we don't want to make money at all. You know, we're just giving you content, you don't have to buy anything, you know, all character stats are now equal. Guys, it's not happening. You know, MiHoYo's a company and they're gonna want to make money. But in a decent world, I feel like 3-team content would allow so old units have a place while new units have that incentive to be pulled for. Because you're gonna need to pull new units in order to fill that 3rd team slot. But your old units are not insignificant and not irrelevant because you need 3 teams. I feel like 3-team content would be a pretty decent middle ground for the company being happy and the players being happy. Now let's do some experimenting, you know, like some theory crafting. Now this is the current MOC as I'm recording this video. Let's place the meta teams where they would go. You know, for side 1, it's full of lightning, wind, and some fire. You know, maybe let's say your Firefly team goes here, your Face Xiao team goes here, your Acheron team go here. Now the second side is full of ice and imaginary. So maybe the Herta team, your Rappa team, you know, all 3 of you in the world that pulled Rappa. Now some of you are based as fuck, okay? And you used Kafka Black Swan side 1, and then you used Scylla side 2. These off-meta teams can still clear this rotation, but where do the Argenti fans go? Where do the Yun League fans go, huh? The 4 total Argenti fans in the world. What if you have a fully invested Blade team, but you already have a fully invested Face Xiao team as well? Where the hell does your Blade go? There's no physical weakness, so these 2 units are much weaker this rotation, and there's no double wind weakness, so your Blade is pretty much useless compared to Face Xiao. So this is where a 3rd team would solve all these issues. Let's say this is a new MOC floor 13. These are the first 2 sides. Let's say you run Face Xiao teams here, and then you run the Herta here. But on the 3rd side, the enemies are the Kafka boss, and maybe like the automatron robot, I don't know who it is. Now there's a place to slot in your Yunli, your Argenti, or your Blade fans. Kafka and the robot will both have wind weakness, and Kafka having physical weakness will let Yunli and Argenti pop off. Now you might be thinking, bro, catch. Weaknesses are irrelevant now. Acheron can ignore them. Firefly, Rappa, they can ignore them now. Face Xiao ignores them now. It doesn't matter anymore. Well, honestly, it's not about being able to break the weakness. It's about the resistance that they have to wind or to fire or to physical. Because even though Firefly can break like the bug boss, that thing has like 40% fire res, so she's doing 40% less damage. But in this theoretical 3rd side, physical characters and your secondary wind characters also have a place to play. Now you have a scenario where you can use your new units, but your old units are not irrelevant. They're not homeless. This would be very cool in my opinion. Right now, I'm pretty sure we can agree that pulling on DPS reruns is very low value. When a DPS gets a rerun, it's pretty much an official statement by Hoyo that this unit is dead soon. Xingliu, right after her rerun, she died. Firefly, right after her rerun, she stopped getting hella buffs in all 3 endgame modes. Blade? Well, Blade was always dead. The need for 3 teams makes it so pulling on reruns will not feel so bad. You'll finally have a home for your Scylla. You'll finally have a home for your Silverwolf. Your Modal Quantum team that you invested in a year ago is not homeless. Like Sparkle after Sunday and Remembrance MC is literally homeless. She's literally on the streets of Penacony. 3-team content will make it so those small investments you made will not become irrelevant. Like that E0, S0 DPS that you got just because you like their character might actually have a place in that 3rd slot. Even though old units will inevitably be power crept, their lifespan is much longer with the need for 3 teams. A whole separate but related issue to this is the lack of 4 stars being released. Did you know the last 4-star was Moza on the Face Xiao banner in patch 2.5? Even Moza's usage is still pretty niche though, you know? And there's not an inherent issue with that. Like not every character can be Pella, Gallagher, Tingyun. But if the 4 stars are gonna be pretty niche, we need more of them. Even for 2-team content right now, we're running out of 4 stars to use. I think the combination of releasing new 4 stars, slowing down the HP inflation, and introducing 3-team content would make the company happy as well as players more happy. Now, a lot of you, if not most of you, might be thinking, it's gonna be really annoying to have to build a whole nother team, a whole nother 3-4 units. Well, my answer to that is that it feels so much worse having 2 fully maxed out 10-10-10 traces with thousands of Trailblaze power in the 4-piece quantum domain just to never use either of them ever again. And with that, we've come to the end of today's content. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Okay, bye. I hope you don't hate me for this. I appreciate you. Okay.